GameTrailers, Ultimate 2012 Video Game Preview.
It's abundantly clear that we're living in the age of the shooter. The category dominates sales charts and now playing lists alike, gripping audiences with its versatility. It seems like the stories we remember most end up being told down the barrel of a gun these days. By the same token, if you think of your most memorable competitive gaming experience, there's a great chance that it involved a glorious kill-death ratio. 2012 is looking like a marquee year for shooters, and here's a long list of the best, minus some of the industry's biggest guns that have yet to be officially announced.
The Darkness 2.
The Darkness 2 is trying its best to make it desirable to inhabit the role of a four-armed infernal horror. It certainly seems to have the mechanics going for it. The quad wielding system, as it's called, will allow you to multitask in the most vicious ways to simultaneously shoot, maul, hurt, and eviscerate the poor saps you run into. Let's hope it's all as easy as it sounds.
To your heart.
Inversion.
Inversion's take on the third-person shooter makes abstract elements like gravity and orientation just as deadly as enemy flanks and maneuvers. Where other games flirt with gravity by giving you predictable telekinetic powers, Inversion is trying to go whole hog. You'll be able to tweak grav forces on specific objects, allowing you to manipulate and demolish objects and enemies. If it works, there's some enticing destructive potential here.
Well, that was easy.
Resident Evil Revelations.
Resident Evil Revelations takes place between the series' 4th and 5th installments. In other words, if you've been missing RE's patented over-the-shoulder onslaught, it looks like you're in for a bit of a surprise. Longtime fans will also welcome the presence of series stars Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield. Handheld installment though it may be, Revelations looks like the real deal for RE fans.
What the hell?
Twisted Metal.
Can vehicular combat thrive in 2012? David Jaffe surely hopes so. Twisted Metal is aiming to remind us precisely why we loved this sort of thing back in the 32-bit era. Its strongest argument thus far is its take on Capture the Flag, which involves kidnapping team leaders, sacrificing them, and launching missiles at enormous statues guarded by the opposition. That's one way to go big for 2012.
Uncharted, Golden Abyss.
The stellar Uncharted franchise definitely looks like it can stand up to shrinkage with Golden Abyss. It tries to deliver an experience that mirrors what you play on the console as closely as possible, while using the PS Vita hardware in intuitive and non-intrusive ways. Drake may have wrapped up his trilogy, but he shows no signs of slowing down on the handheld.
You have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
Hello, Agent.
Syndicate.
Though a first-person shooter isn't the first thing you think of for a remake of a classic strategy game, at least Syndicate is in good hands with Starbreeze Studios. The original cyberpunk theme seems like it lends itself well to the sort of action the Swedish developer is good at, and if the videos released thus far are any indication, there's a good deal of reverence for the source material at play.
A classic 16-bit game experience set in a cyberpunk wonderland.
Spec Ops The Line.
With a story inspired by Heart of Darkness and powered by an engine that's tuned to deliver unpredictable sandstorms, Spec Ops The Line is hoping to turn the squad-based shooter on its head by allowing you to use sand as a weapon. Your mission is to track down a missing Delta Force squad and storm-ravaged Dubai. Add in difficult player choices and you have the makings of something unique.
Max Payne 3.
Max Payne 3 promises to kick off a chapter in the titular anti-hero saga where he's drifted from bad to worse. It's hard to imagine what that means for Max Payne. How will bullet time be handled? How will it work in multiplayer? These questions make the wait for May especially difficult.
Ghost Recon, Future Soldier.
Thanks to all the fancy tech at the disposal of your futuristic squad, Ghost Recon Future Soldier appears as much stealth game as it does shooter. Of course, that feeling vanishes as soon as you're aiming down the sights of a tricked-out assault rifle in first person. As usual, the ghosts are in over their heads behind enemy lines, and they'll have to use their wits, as well as their toys, to get out alive.
Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Aliens Colonial Marines attempts to harness tension and immediacy to deliver an experience that rings true to the franchise. The game will forego a traditional HUD, forcing you to reckon with the spaceborne horrors in their own frightful context. Luckily, you'll control a squad of varied specialists in your quest to survive the worst that the galaxy has to offer.
It's all my fault.
Resident Evil 6.
The last Resident Evil was announced a full 2 years before it was released, but apparently Capcom has adjusted its strategy. With the debut trailer and initial details just released, it's a shock that Resident Evil 6 is scheduled for retail on November 20th of this year. Featuring an all-star cast of Resident Evil stalwarts, main men Leon and Chris look to stamp out yet another viral outbreak that has taken over a city of 70,000. Featuring what looks like the same over-the-shoulder gunplay with some added cover elements, it looks just as mean and nasty as we had hoped.
Resident Evil 6.
BioShock Infinite.
Irrational Games is at the top of the pack when it comes to delivering first-person shooters that confound what we expect of the genre, so expectations are high for BioShock Infinite. Its steampunk Death Star setting is riddled with menace courtesy of two warring extremist factions and a shadowy robot bird, and it even seems like simply getting around the place involves death-defying acrobatic feats.
Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Far Cry 3.
Far Cry 3 doesn't seem to be straying too far from the series' proven recipe, that is, a remote, isolated island and the need to fight tooth and nail for survival. The game's debut at E3 last year made a deranged splash, and the technology on display was suitably impressive. We're anxious to see how it turns out in 2012.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
I'm here.
Halo 4.
Details about Halo 4 are scarce, not surprisingly, but come on, how can you not be excited about the launch of the new trilogy starring Master Chief and Cortana? We're expecting to learn lots of info before its release late this year, and questions about multiplayer specifics, the story, and how it will improve on its predecessor's vast feature sets are at the top of our lists.
Prey 2.
Prey 2 looks like it's going far afield of the sci-fi vision quest that defined its predecessor, instead focusing on a sort of weird open-world alien noir that's stoking our imagination. It seems to be hitting some cool notes with its sandbox bounty hunting environment and a focus on gadget-enabled parkour, so color us intrigued.
Target identified.
XCOM.
As an FPS based on a classic turn-based strategy game, XCOM seemed like it couldn't be less informed by the franchise it's bringing back from the dead. However, amidst its action focus are elements that speak true to its legacy, including the ability to recruit and develop specialists to take on the alien invaders, equip them with captured extraterrestrial tech, and outfit your underground base. Yeah, it's a shooter, but it maintains the XCOM vibe.